Thank you for joining our Starting Your Own Business webinar today. And so let me kind of tell you what our agenda is today. I will give you a brief introduction to SCORE, some facts about small business, where to begin, the business plan, talk a little about financial management and marketing and management and what to do next. The thing I'm going to alert you is that in the 1 hour that we have, we will be covering these items at a fairly high level, a 30,000 view, okay? SCORE does offer workshops on each of these topics, which go into more detail. But the purpose today is to give you a big picture view as to what you need to do to get started in your business. And then hopefully, depending on your strengths and weaknesses, you will learn more in other seminars, okay? Myself, as Laura says, is Madhu Dewan. I have been a SCORE mentor for 9 years. And before I was a mentor, I worked at Bridgestone in planning and analysis. And I have an MBA in finance and a master in chemical engineering. And you have already met Laura, who's going to be helping me run this seminar. So before I get started, I'm going to request about 3 of you to kind of ask a question as to what you expect to learn from this webinar today. So at least I answer some of your questions that may be going around in your mind. So Laura, could you look for some volunteers to see what they're looking to learn today?
Absolutely. So if you guys want to type in anything specific, and I'll take like the first 3 or 4 and give them to them, but anything specific that you're looking to learn today. Tips, advice on how to begin a business with no capital.
Okay.
We'll wait just a minute, see what else comes in. What is the best way to outsource HR and accounting? And tips
Hold on. Okay. Outsourcing HR
and accounting.
Okay.
And tips on business organization for a first-time LLC owner.
Okay. Organization for a first time. Okay. Okay. So I think that gives me a good sense of what the audience is looking for, and we'll be definitely talking about organizing an LLC, and I will try to talk about outsourcing HR and accounting, and again I also address starting a business with no capital. So again, I'll try to do that at the relevant time. Then we go there. Okay. So thank you for volunteering what you wanting to learn. Okay. All right. So number 1, introduction to SCORE. SCORE is a nationwide nonprofit, and we are organized into chapters, and all across the country. We have over 200 chapters across the country, and our mission is to foster small, vibrant business communities through mentoring and education. And it is the education that we're doing today, so that you can learn about small business. And our vision is that we want to provide support to a small business owner on whatever subject that is stopping them. So people come with questions, small and large. We try to help them move forward. Okay. So today we are doing the workshop, and if you're interested in counseling and mentoring, first of all, the good news is that we are a nonprofit, so all our counseling sessions are free and confidential. Okay, so we don't share one client's information with another client unless we have their permission. We can mentor you by phone. We can mentor you on Zoom, or in some cases, we can meet with you face to face. And one thing I want to stress is that there are many groups trying to help small businesses. But one thing that distinguishes SCORE is that all our mentors have extensive business experience. So they're really giving you real world advice. Okay. things that they have experienced, things they know work, things that don't work. So they are not giving you advice from just reading a book. They're able to tell you what works and what doesn't work, okay? Now, one question we get is, how long does the relationship last? And really, it depends on the client, okay? I get many clients who will meet me one time and they have a specific problem and we talk about it and we help them get past that and then we are done, okay? There are some clients who have started a business, they have gone through some difficult times and now they're profitable. So that relationship goes on for longer than one meeting. In fact, I have a client, I have a couple of clients who just really just want to talk to me once every quarter. And again, they just discuss things that's going on their mind, and we don't have an agenda. It's something that they feel comfortable discussing with the SCORE mentor, and that's how that works. Okay. Okay. If you want to schedule a mentoring session, you can go to akron.score.org, or you can call our office at the number shown here, and Laura would answer the phone and take some basic contact information, and then you'll be assigned a mentor. I know there are a lot of people attending today. If you're outside the Akron area, I would go to our national website, score.org, and request a mentor on the website. And based on your zip code, they will assign you a mentor in your area, or depending what you are looking for, you might even get a mentor from outside area. So that's the 3 ways to contact us to get a mentoring session. Okay. All right. Another thing that what we are doing today is a live webinar. And really the benefit of a live webinar is that you can answer questions, you get answers, you can see what other people are thinking when they ask their questions. But SCORE records all their webinars. So depending on your availability, I would also urge you to take a recorded webinar. And SCORE has nearly 300 recorded webinars on their website, and they are all different topics: marketing, strategy, business planning, operations, technology, and financing and capital, cash flow, human resources. So anything that you want to learn about, go to the score.website that I showed you the previous page. It might take you a little bit of time to figure out the right seminar that you're looking at, but generally speaking, they last about 40 minutes, and you can take them at your convenience. And if you don't have enough 40 minutes of one chunk of time, you can stop it and come back and pick it up later. So I find that very useful for people who are busy and want to take this information on their own schedule. Okay. So that's all the SCORE resources that there are. One thing I'll say is there are many groups out there trying to encourage small businesses, and take advice from whoever you can. Make SCORE part of your sources of information. And again, I have no problem when people are working with other groups, because at the end of the day, I want the clients to be successful. Okay. So why is there such a big interest in small businesses? Every year in the United States, over 671,000 new businesses are formed. Okay. And when you look at our business community, they represent 99.8% of all businesses. Okay. And when you look in terms of output, they represent 50% of all goods and services, 50% of the US workforce, and nearly a lot of these businesses have fewer than 20 employees. Many of them have 1 or 2 employees, okay? But the thing that really interests communities is that of the jobs created, the new jobs created, 75% of them are created in a small business, okay? So remember, we all talk about large companies, but it's really all these large companies were a small business at one time, okay? And since they are a source of job creation, all government agencies, federal, state, local level, want to encourage entrepreneurs to start a business because it creates jobs in a community and a a thriving small business community is a sign of a community where people can work and live and leads to economic development. So that's why there's so much emphasis on small businesses. And I forgot to mention that SCORE is also supported by the federal agency Small Business Administration, SBA, based in Washington. So again, we have had a relationship with them since the 1960s. So they recognize the value of our SCORE mentors, and we are like a mentoring and workshop organization for them. Okay, so now small businesses also means risk. Nearly 30% of the businesses, small businesses, will fail in 2 years, about 1/3 in 4 years, about half in 5 years. Okay, so really there is some risk involved in a small business, and it is good to know what is it that causes small businesses to fail. Okay, and in many cases, when they have done surveys of failed small businesses, they realize that the managers or the owners were not experienced in that line of business. Okay, or in overall management. Okay, and also found out that the managers had time management issues. Okay, they just got so overwhelmed with all the work they had to do that they could not manage their own tasks, and when they hired people, they were unable to do a proper distribution of work that they do versus what the others do. Okay, another third good reason for a failing business is that many people start a business and they think they can get in with lesser money than what they need. Okay, and what happens is that when you are underestimating your costs, um, and if you've taken a loan, you run out of money and then you have no money to work with. Okay, so um, be very realistic in estimating your startup costs. And also, most small businesses that I have mentored will lose money in the first few months. Okay, even the first year. Okay, so make sure that you have enough financing, either to your own money or through loans, so you can go through this initial period when really your costs are higher than what your revenues are coming in. Okay, so most businesses, when they start off with, they don't have any customers and they have losses, but they have to go through that period of losses and withstand that, and then the business grows and the revenues pick up, and then the business is profitable. Okay, the other thing is that many business owners uh, don't have a good understanding of finance. Okay, so if you're weak in the finance area, take courses to understand what is it that is making the business work. Okay, if you don't, so we'll talk a little bit about cash flow and operating and net income in a little bit later in the presentation. But cash flow basically means that when your bills are due, like when you have to pay your suppliers or you have to pay your employees, you should have money in the bank. Okay, if you cannot write that check, you cannot write that paycheck, then your employees will not show up the next day. Okay, so you have to look ahead a little bit and see what bills are coming in, what revenues are coming in, and making sure that you don't run out of money in your checking account. Okay, that's very important. Watch that every day, and as if you have big bills coming in, either make provisions to pay them or do something to delay them, so you don't run out of money on, let's say, your payroll. Okay, so those are the 4 big reasons why businesses fail. Okay, I told you all the bad stuff about small businesses, but there are some very rewarding things about being a small business owner. Number one, you get to be your own boss, and you're not going to work less hard, I'll tell you that. You probably work longer hours, but whatever the benefits come from working long and hard are profits for you and your family, not for someone else. Okay, and your growth potential working for yourself is far less limited, depending how hard you work, depending how you grow. Your benefits are really unlimited. Okay, Another thing that new business people love is a new venture is exciting, and running a business will provide you with endless variety challenges and really also opportunities to learn. So really, um, there are a lot of rewarding things about a small business, and the most important advice I can give you is be flexible and persistent. Okay, so I always tell people that running a small business, you have to jump over hurdle after hurdle after hurdle, and as you do it more, you get better at it. But there's always something that you have to deal with. But if you're persistent, I think that's the nature you're supposed to have to be a small business owner. Okay, so I told you about small businesses, why they fail, and the question is that get a lot from my clients is where to begin. Okay, and by that I think that. Oh, by the way, one thing I'm going to tell you is SCORE mentors both for-profit businesses and nonprofit businesses. Okay, so if you're thinking of starting a nonprofit, you can also get a SCORE mentor that can help you. Okay, all right. So people come to me and they will say that, I would like to start a small business, but I really don't know what where to begin. Or when having a conversation with them, I realize that there are people who have 3 ideas, 4 ideas, and they will keep jumping from one business idea to another business idea. Okay. So the first thing, and then they will have questions like whether this should be a nonprofit or a for-profit business. And I let them speak. Okay. But in the end of the day, I always tell them is that you can have 5 great ideas for businesses, but I'm going to mentor you on one idea, one business idea. And either we decide we will do that business idea, or we'll decide we will not do that business idea, and then we'll go to idea number 2. Okay. Just getting started in a business for one idea requires a lot of work. And if you keep jumping between idea and idea, I can assure you that you'll not make any progress on any idea. Okay. So again, if you have several ideas, do a little screen, write them down, a little screening, think about them one at a time, talk to a mentor one at a time, and see whether you want to go that way or not. Okay. But one of the most important things I can tell you is whichever small business you're thinking of, you must have a passion for that business. Okay. There will be many challenges in starting and running a small business. And if you're not committed, you will not succeed. Okay. So one is that something that deeply interests you, for making money or for doing some societal mission, that's the business you should think about. Okay. The second thing is that it should meet your personal goals. What do I mean by that? Okay. So let's say you're working and, I'll just use a number. Okay. You're making $80,000 a year. Okay. I think you have to decide whether the small business is supposed to replace your income, or it is just replace 30% of your income, and or it is something that you want to do because you're done working in a company and you need some income for retirement. Okay. All right. The other thing, balancing with how much in money you need and how much time do you have. Okay. If you're working full time, then doing a part-time business, then obviously your income will be limited. Okay. Um, before you quit your job and commit yourself to a small business, I urge people to start the business while they're working to see if the idea has legs, and then at some point in time they can quit their job. Okay, but again, um, don't quit your job right away. Get some experience of what you're trying to do. Okay. The other third thing that I do is you should your small business should be based on something that you know. Okay. So, for example, um, if you're working in a warehouse and all of a sudden you want to open a restaurant, be careful because your experience is not in running a restaurant. Okay. And if all you have done is eaten at a restaurant, that is not enough experience for you to open a restaurant, okay? So many times people come to me and they will think of starting a business in which they have no experience in, okay? So I suggest to them that they should go work in a restaurant, get some experience, see what happens day to day, okay? And see if that is right for them, okay? And the last thing I will say is give some thought to how much competition is out there for the business idea that you're thinking. So if you're in a community that already has 6 pizza shops, maybe having a 7th pizza shop is not a great idea unless you have some unique pizza that you're offering, okay? So as you're looking at these ideas, see if it is needed, see if it is too much competition, other people are getting into it, and hopefully these 4 ideas will help you guide in selecting the right business. So with this presentation, Laura will also send you a score handout called Choosing a Business That's Right for You. And this handout asks you a list of questions, and you should try to answer them honestly as you can, and that'll hopefully guide you in selecting the right business that you want to pursue in starting, okay? All right. Next thing you should do is start a personal assessment, okay? All of us as individuals are good in certain things, and we are not so good in other things, okay? Doing a personal assessment is not a pass or fail test whether you should start a business or not. It wants you to become self-aware of what you're strong in and what you're weak in, okay? So and what you're weak in, you should either correct that by educating yourself, by having a partner that is strong in that. So for example, a lot of people are good in sales, okay? They like talking to people, they like selling themselves, but they're not really good in finance, okay? So they don't understand cash flow, okay? But again, a successful business requires that you have some understanding of all these areas. And I've listed some areas like finance, human resources, product and services, and marketing that are really common to all businesses. And after today's course, on the areas that you're weak in, you should look at some workshops from SCORE or other places to learn more about them, okay? And again, we'll also send you a checklist of strengths and weaknesses. Again, these are series of questions. It asks you to rate yourself. And the question is, what are you relatively strong in, what you're weak in? So you're self-aware of what the pitfalls is that you could fall in and you need to correct that stuff, okay? So perform a personal assessment, okay? Okay, so now what kind of business you're looking at, what strengths and weaknesses are. And next thing, before you jump into it, now take a little time and go to do some research, okay? Your county libraries, your city libraries, good sources. Go to the library and talk to them about, hey, I'm thinking of starting a business in this area, and see what resources they have, okay? If you're thinking of doing some other business, look at your competitors' websites or trade organizations to see what information you can pick up, okay? On nonprofits, talk to somebody at SCORE, go to Chamber of Commerce, okay? And these days with the internet, spend proper time researching the internet for your business and see what all of information you can glean, okay? Now, going live on the internet is also, I would urge you to use AI to ask the appropriate questions to get information about the business, okay? And then you can also talk to SCORE mentors and take webinars to learn about things that you're trying to do, okay? So one thing when my clients come to me, sometimes they will say, oh, I'm thinking of opening a health club and I want a mentor who knows about health clubs. And what I tell them is, really, you should know about the business of health clubs, okay? You know, what kind of equipment you need, what kind of a building you need, you know, what the location is, who your competitors is, okay? What the SCORE mentor does, what I know about is business, okay? So I will take you through the cash flow cycle. I will take you through the growth cycle. I'll talk to you about how much money you need to get started. So the SCORE mentor is really the business side of the business. I need to know nothing about the gym business, okay? And in some cases I do know, in many cases I don't. But really the role of a SCORE mentor, so you should have the knowledge which is part of the business. If you're opening a psychological practice, you're the one knowing what the licenses are, how you get clients, what your expertise is, things like what your credentials are, things like that. I can help you with the business side of things, okay? So that's the role SCORE mentors play, okay? So to conduct research before you about your business, again, we're trying to do is learn more and more about the business idea that we have, okay? All right. So I know there was a question about organizational structure. So, you know, listed on the slide are 5 business structures, okay? So many small businesses is what we call sole proprietorship, meaning they are the owner and they really need nobody's permission to start that business. And that's one approach how they do it, okay? You can have more than one person and it can be a general partnership, okay? The other structures are corporate structures, a limited liability company, S Corp, or C Corp, okay? So let me tell you what SCORE mentors will advise you, okay? For most small businesses starting off, we would suggest you let's set up a limited liability company or a LLC. And actually, if you drive around, you will see every company with the words LLC behind it. So what's the benefit of an LLC versus sole proprietorship? In case of sole proprietorship, if things go bad, you know, your product creates injury, your personal assets like your house, your car, your personal checking account can all be at risk, okay? They can be taken by the person that has been hurt, okay? A limited liability company is a structure like a separate person, okay? They can go after the company, but in most cases, your personal assets are protected, okay? So that's the one that we suggest for most businesses in the state of Ohio. You can set up an LLC for $99, and many of my clients have done this on their own, okay? So it's a relatively simple application. Your registration lasts for 5 years, then you have to renew it, and it costs $99, okay? So from the perspective of your protection of your personal assets, we suggest you set up an LLC. Now, S Corp and C Corp are also corporate structures. S Corp S Corp offers some tax advantages, and C Corp is a large companies like Microsoft or Toyota or something. Okay, now S Corp, you need to be making some money before you can take advantage of those things. Okay, and then if your business is successful at some point in time, you can be elected to be taxed as an S corporation, and then get those benefits. But you know, I will say you should think about it going from an LLC to S corp if your revenues are over $200,000. Okay, and you can do that at a later stage. Okay, so we'll also give you a handout of basic comparison of common business entities, and you can understand them and see what. But again, to get started, I would start with a LLC. Okay. Um, Now, for nonprofit, there are other structures. You may have heard of something called 501c3, and if you work with a SCORE mentor, so it's a little more complicated establishing that, and you have to work with the IRS and all that. So your mentor can help you doing that. Okay. All right. So we talked about legal structure. So at least in Ohio, um, and I'll tell you the website that gives you this information. It provides information requirements for your business. You know, so it will tell you that if your business, nature of business requires a license from the state, okay? You can also register your name. And if you, once you have an LLC, you can go to the irs.gov to get a employee EIN number. If you have any employees, you will need that number. But again, the EIN number for a business is like a social security number for you as an individual, okay? So when you file your taxes, the IRS wants to know your EIN number, okay? And if you're having employees, find the legal requirement for employees in terms of accident insurance and things like that. And again, so Ohio's First Business Connection will give you good guidance on what kind of licenses you need, okay? Some important websites that I want you to go to. First, Google Ohio First Stop Business Connection, and it'll give you links to Ohio Development Services Agency. They have nice brochures that you can review and see how your business fits in, okay? And then there's another agency called Small Business Development Agency. They also help small businesses. So SCORE is a nonprofit. We are supported by the federal government, the Small Business Administration. Small Business Development Agency is supported by the state of Ohio. So again, look at these websites and see if you can pick up information for your business, okay? If you decide to set up an LLC, the website to go to is the Ohio Secretary of State. It's ohiosos.gov, and you can make an application for LLC there. You can do this online, and you can pay online. And in some cases, they send you an email. Sometimes they send you a letter that your LLC has been registered with a number, and then you use that number to get your EIN number from the irs.gov, which is a very easy process. You can get your EIN number in about half an hour, okay? The reason I will tell you to set up an LLC, get an EIN number, is you will need those two things to open a business bank account, okay? So it's like when you open a personal account, they want your social security number. For your business account, they'll want your LLC number and your EIN number, okay? Okay. So we also suggest that as you're thinking of starting a business, think of the people who can be in your network to help you, okay? Now, you don't have to hire these people right away, okay? You only hire them when you need them, okay? And hopefully, in case of attorney, you never need them, okay? But for some people, deal more with others, and also depends on your strengths. The point is, don't be alone, okay? Don't be alone, okay? When you can afford them, hire professionals will guide you, okay? So one professional service that I think as soon as you can afford it, you should get a CPA that specializes in small businesses. You can do your own taxes on an LLC, but as soon as you have enough money, we would urge you to work with a CPA firm who does your taxes at the very minimum, okay? And they'll charge you money, but hopefully, if they're savvy, they will let you take the right deductions and they will save you on taxes. So CPA firm, you should look around in an area and get somebody, okay? The CPA firm can also offer you bookkeeping or accounting services, okay? There was a question of how do you outsource accounting and HR services. I'll talk about HR in a minute, but for accounting, start with a CPA firm who specialize small businesses. And so sometimes some people are using, some software and they keep track of their own accounting, and that you can do that. And then at tax time, you can, I think you guys might have heard of a software called QuickBooks. They do that and then they give that to their accountant for the taxes, okay? Sometimes for some people starting out, QuickBooks is challenging, okay? So I would suggest to you that you use a business bank account, use spreadsheets to keep track of things, and till you get an understanding of the accounting of your business, And then you can think of hiring a bookkeeper or something, okay? But initially, you may be ending up doing these things yourself, okay? So there was a um, question about how to outsource HR, okay? Now, um, some small companies, instead of hiring an HR manager, they will, there are HR companies that you can get on a contract basis, okay? So and depending on if you need some advice from time to time, you can look at these HR companies that are in your area. You start with a retainer, and then depending on how many hours of service you need, you can use them, okay? Now, if you are looking for employees and really um, have difficulty hiring them, so think of working with a staffing agency, okay? Now, the staffing agency will charge you an overhead fee of 35%, okay? But again, they have people of resumes that you can immediately start working with, and then you can check them out for 6 months, 9 months, and then if you decide to hire them, go ahead and do that, okay? So I try to think of this accounting firm, not account, excuse me, HR firm um, I hear an ad for all the time. It's something called Deer. Anyway, I would Google HR contract firms and see, and you can see HR firms for small businesses, and you can see what you can find out over there, okay? All right. Most of you will need an insurance agent for business insurance, and we suggest that you do a little research there and find an insurance agent. They will talk to you specifically about the nature of your business and get you something called comprehensive and general liability. So again, when you set up an LLC, the structure gives you some protection. If you have insurance, comprehensive and general liability, if things go wrong, your insurance company steps in and bails you out a little bit. But again, your personal assets are protected, okay? All right. Get a bank, okay? And like I said, many of you have a personal checking account somewhere, but we urge you to set up a business checking account and a credit card account. And one thing we will always caution you that keep your personal checking account and your business checking account separate, okay? People mix those two up, and then you never know whether your business is making any money or not, okay? So keep them separate. You can move money on a periodic basis from a business account to your personal account for a living, but do that on regular intervals so you know what you're doing, okay? And if you need a banker, if you need a loan, think ahead a little bit and get a bank that's specialized, that is SBA approved for business loans or established line of credit, because that one will be helpful to you. I don't have any skin in the game which bank you go to. I would start with the bank you have, but some SBA approved banks for small businesses in our area are like Huntington, KeyBank, PNC. So these are banks that support small businesses, and I would go talk to them. Okay, all right. Computers and technology have become an integral part of all businesses. They are for efficiency and for managing your business better. If you're not savvy about these things, you need to think of a computer technology specialist that you can work with, okay? Nearly all businesses will need a website. So if you're not ready to set up on your own, you need to work with somebody, a company that have you set up a website, okay? And then, depending on business, you might need a specialist in marketing or distribution, social media, or other disciplines. So again, identify these people, and when you can afford them, when you can use them, go use them. Okay. The point is, um, get advice from wherever you can get and afford. Again, mentors, including SCORE, are a good source for advice, and they are free. So that's a good place for small business to start, okay? Okay, if you're thinking of starting a home-based business, like many of my clients do, check your zoning with your city, if they allow that business in your home. And a couple things that I will tell you is if you are, so first of all, your homeowner's insurance is for living there, okay? It is not business insurance, okay? So if there's a fire and you have a lot of inventory in your home, that is not covered, okay? So you need to have a rider that covers your business stuff in your home, okay? Your auto insurance right now is your personal auto insurance. It is not to be used for business. If you are using your auto for business, talk to your agent and get a rider that covers your business insurance on your auto insurance, okay? If you are employees and customers coming at your home, make sure that they're not causing any problems with your neighbors. And more importantly, are they permitted to do that, okay? If you're getting a lot of commercial deliveries, which a lot of people are, be wary about that. I mean, you can get deliveries, but if they're trucks all the time, be careful about that. Part of your home expenses can be written off in your taxes, but be very careful. And there's an IRS publication that tells you what you can and cannot deduct. And this is one area where the IRS is very aggressive on audits because they don't want you to deduct your personal expenses from your taxes for business. Okay, so be aware of that also. Okay. All right, so I think we have covered about half our presentation. Laura, you there? Laura?
I'm here.
Okay, are there any questions? Maybe I can just answer some of them before I continue.
Sure. Um, let's see. Will you be going over franchising?
Okay, I will not be going over franchising today, but I believe SCORE has workshops on franchising, okay? And generally speaking, if you're a franchise owner, we will about franchises that we want you to be aware of, okay? The one caution I will tell you is that most franchise contracts are pretty much one way. So read your contract carefully before you sign it and understand what you're signing up for, because in many cases, the franchises are quite heavy-handed. Just to give an example, in case of a McDonald's franchise, I think their contract says that if your place looks run down, they have the right to upgrade your restaurant and just start billing you over the next three to 5 years. Okay, so again, understand your contract, but I would urge you to get a mentor or take a course on franchising. Any other question?
Let's see. Yes, you will get a copy of this presentation. How hard is it to learn bookkeeping with zero experience? Is it worth hiring somebody?
Okay, so if you're just starting out, SCORE has a webinar on financial management, and there we give you some tips on how to start off with yourself, okay? The very minimum, you should have a business bank account, and you should every week put some information on a spreadsheet so that you can keep track of how is money coming in and going out, okay? And then after that, I urge you, once you understand how to set your accounts, you can then buy some software which hopefully automates your bookkeeping, okay? The trouble of jumping into software right away is that they want you to set up accounts, okay? And when you're new, you really don't know what accounts to set up, okay? One good source, if you want to hire somebody, is talk to your CPA firm, and they have bookkeepers, and let them do this for you if you can afford it. Usually using on a part-time basis, okay? Hope I helped you, but I would also take our course on financial management, so at least you learn something about bookkeeping before you spend a lot of money on software or something like that. Any other question?
Oh, so there's just one more. Are those Ohio-based links something that every state has? I'm in Michigan. I plan on looking through our state's website, but I wanted to check with you as well.
Okay, so no, very good question, and honestly speaking, I have to be aware that I may be talking to people in different states. And okay, so setting up LLC is a responsibility of the state government, okay? So in our country, um, uh, corporate structures are a function of state governments, okay? So, but in many cases, Michigan, North Carolina, South Carolina, they have Secretary of State websites. So I would, if you're in Michigan, I would go to the Michigan Secretary of State website because their rules might be slightly different than Ohio. Now, honestly speaking, a lot of them are similar, but by the end of the day, if you're doing business in Michigan, you should really get a Michigan LLC, okay? And now, as a Michigan LLC, you can do business in Ohio, okay? And then, there's some sales tax and all you have to pay. So you can be, what's the word, incorporated in one state and do businesses in other states. You don't have to be incorporated in every state, okay? Uh, you may know that many of our large companies are incorporated in Delaware, okay? And there must be some benefits in terms of when they get sued and all that, that Delaware law is favorable to them, okay? So, but again, if you are a small business owner, go to your state, Secretary of State's website. All right, so I will continue. Just one second. All right. We've been talking about what businesses do. We're talking about what your strengths and weaknesses are. We talked about doing research. Now, we suggest, Score Mentor suggests that you write a business plan, okay? And the benefit of that is, number one, um, don't keep everything in your head. Write it down, okay? So a business plan is a roadmap. It's a written document, so you don't have to keep everything in your head. It is for you, and you can update it regularly. I would suggest that you keep it on a computer, and you just update it when things change, okay? And it covers all aspects of business, and really, it is a communication tool to all stakeholders like partners and bankers and employees, okay? Um, if you are looking for a loan, they will ask for a business plan, okay? So some tips on business plans, and also tell you my personal experience with clients and business plans. So let's go about it, okay? So again, it forces you to pinpoint your business needs, what your opportunity is, and what the problems are, okay? The business plan requires you to do a view of the market conditions and then talks about your strengths and weaknesses, okay? And sometimes my clients will write a business plan and you can decide at that point that, hey, this is not for me, or this is too much work. So at that point, you write a business plan and you go, no go. But let's say you decide to go, then you work do a little bit more work, okay? So again, when you're writing a business plan, that they should be writing down. And a good place to start is this business plan guide that Score is. And I think, so Laura, are you going to be including these guides with the presentation also?
I will need to get with you on where they're located, but yes, I can.
Okay. So we will give you these handouts and guides also. Um, so you can work on those, okay? All right. Um, so, think about your business in the future. Start drafting a business plan. Not all areas in our guide will apply to you, but make an effort to go through, but the guide will ask you about all areas, your corporate structure, your marketing, your advertising plan, the cost of your business, the pricing decisions. Why do you think customers will buy from you? So it'll ask you some very difficult questions, and so you need to um, uh, be able to answer those questions. Okay. Okay. Now, a full-blown business plan has all these items: a summary, which we tell you to write last, your company description, your marketing plan, your operational plan, management organization, and then it talks about a financial plan. And generally, if you're looking for a loan, they want the financial plan to be 5 years, saying how the money will come in, how the money will go out, and how much cash you'll have to pay the loan off. Okay. And then some appendices like your resume support the plan. Okay. Now, I want to tell you one thing. Many of my clients don't write a business plan. So I urge them to at least complete the business plan guide, which is a question and answer session thing. And I think they find that easier to complete that. In many cases, that is enough for them to describe to a banker for a business loan. So you can do a business plan. It takes a little time, and many people don't like to write. So I would at least urge you to do the business plan outline. And unless you get specific questions about the the business plan, I would work with the outline, and then the financial plan will be needed if you apply for a loan, and because they're saying how your sales build up, how your costs build up, how your profit up. So again, for business planning purposes, do the plan guide and do the financial plan. That guides you a little bit as to what's going on. Okay. Okay. All right. Let me see if I got all the. Okay, so okay, one question I have not addressed is starting a business with no capital. I'll come to that in a minute. Okay. Okay. Um, and by the way, you can work with your score counselor in writing your business plan, reviewing the business plan outline. I do that for many people. Sometimes I help them write the executive summary because they cannot bring everything together. So again, use your mentor to do a business plan. But the important thing about a business plan is, if it's written down, you're not keeping everything in your head, because that gets exhausting. Okay, and really, it's your business plan. Nobody's grading you, so please take an effort to do that. Okay. Okay, financial management and possible ways to finance. Most small businesses will need money to get started, and the money that you get is your personal savings, and some is loan from a bank. Okay, some people take loans from family and friends. I sort of discourage that. I um, I urge them to go to a bank because everything is an arm's length transaction, and that way, if the business goes south, they're also not losing their family and friends. Okay, but again, everybody's situation is different. Some people who own a home can get a home equity loan. Some people credit rating is bad, so they get a family member to pledge against the loan. We talked about loan from family or friends, um, and some people use credit card. But again, use credit card sparingly. If you're not paying the balances off, that's a terrible way to finance a business. Okay, uh, and the most important one is bank financing. And generally speaking, what are banks looking for? They will want you. So a typical bank loan, they will want you to put 10% down, and it might be for as much as 10 years. And depending on the nature, you can qualify for a loan. Many SBA approved banks will forgive you a loan if you have a reasonable credit rating, not a great rating, a reasonable rating. Okay, so I think that's you do that. Okay, now a question was how to start a business with no capital. Okay, um, so if you have no capital and are unable to get a loan for whatever reason, um, you need to start a business that can just use your I will say, existing assets to start a business, okay? So most of those type of businesses are like service businesses, okay? A typical example is, you use your car, go to somebody's home and provide a service, okay? Um, I had a client who was our business was so like in my city, we put our large garbage cans out every week where garbage should go, but of course, over a period of time, um, what should I say? Our garbage gets pretty stinky, okay? So her business was that you'd contact her, she would come to your home, to your driveway. She had on her own car and she had her own water tank, and she would clean your garbage and make it smell nice. Garbage can smell it nice, so your garbage can wasn't stinky. So in this case, she's using personal assets and she's getting paid right away. She does the job and she gets the money, and so again, she can do that. Hopefully, she has a computer. She keep track of things. She has a personal phone, so she can contact people. A home cleaning business is like that, okay, where you don't need a lot of capital. You are doing a service. You are getting paid right away, so you're not waiting on people to pay you. And then if you need to buy supplies or something, you can use your credit card. But then very important, if you get paid right away, pay your credit card on time, so you're not getting charged with enormous interest. So starting a business um, with no capital is challenging, but people are doing it. Another way people do it, they're artistic people who design products and clothes and things like that. Um, they spend the time building art or building clothes, and then they go to these farmers markets and they're selling their products there, so they don't need a loan for a building or anything like that. Okay, so again, if you have no money, think of a service business. Start small till you're able to um, um, make some profit and save some money. Some people are delivering food, for parties. They're working for a subcontractor that is giving food to parties, so they're making something and selling it to them. Things like that. Okay, they are baking cookies in their home, and then through Facebook or something, they are selling them and making deliveries, or people are coming to their home, they're picking up cookies. So again, if you have no access to capital, I would not give up. I would just set my sights in a service business and businesses that pay you right away, okay? Because you cannot afford to wait to get paid, because you got to live and you got to invest in the business. So those are some tips I have for that sort of a business. Okay. So for bank financing, you'll need a business plan. They will ask you for your tax returns for the last 3 years. They'll do a credit check on you, and they will have 10 to 20% down payment. And in many cases, my clients don't have whatever money they have, that limits them how much they can borrow. Okay, so that's something to think about. Okay, okay. Capture all your costs. For most businesses, you'll need money to start up. For example, you might need computers. You might need to upgrade the facility you're renting. You may need to buy some inventory for retail business. So figure out what it'll take to get started. And then all operating expenses, make estimates of everything that'll be needed, um, estimate size and benefits, and like we talked about, startup costs. Okay. So in many cases, my clients, we have startup costs, and then we have ongoing costs, and we try to put them all together. Okay. So just a little bit of a flavor of financial things that you should be familiar with. There are three financial statements. I'm only going to discuss one of them here. This is a profit and loss statement. So in this case, a profit and loss statement is for a period of time. In this case, January and February. So your sales is $18,000. To make those sales, you have to spend $7,000 in buying supplies and paying labor. So your gross profit is $11,000. And then if you have employees, you have utilities, you have advertising, insurance, rent, you have other expenses, $7,500, okay? So your profit loss before tax is 3,500, okay? You go to February, so again, that's the money you made, that's good. It's a profit, sometimes there's a loss, but it's a profit. Next month, your sales go up, cost of goods will go up. And generally speaking, if your sales go up, cost of goods go up, your gross profit went up, and your expenses are pretty much fixed, so you made more money, okay? So some of the stuff you can learn from the SCORE website. And one thing I will alert you at this point in time is, so all this is for a period, okay? But during the month of January and February, you'll be buying stuff, you'll be paying people. So that is called cash flow. You should be able to have enough money to pay your vendors and your employees. So net income is not equal to cash flow. It is a little different usually, and there are some items like depreciation impacts income, but doesn't impact cash flow, okay? So a little difference there, but learn about some of these things, okay? Okay, marketing, all the businesses will need marketing. And if you take a marketing course, they'll talk to you about product, pricing, promotion, place. So whatever you're offering, define the product, set a price. Promotion is how people find out, and places, whether you're selling those on the internet or you're selling at a store. So those four things have to be considered, okay? So in doing your market research on your product, you should understand your customers really well. You should see what their gender is, what their age is. So sometimes when I ask my clients, what is the profile of your customer? They say, oh, everybody buy my product all over the country. You need to be more specific than that, because in the end, you're spending money on advertising. You can hardly afford to launch a nationwide campaign for everybody. You need to find the ideal customer who you think will buy your product, and then you can design your advertising program towards them, okay? Promotion. Promotion means how you let people know that you're in this business. Many things that you will need is your business cards, your product brochures. Nearly all of you will need a website, so start thinking about it. And public relations and networking, and you may have to use local community papers, okay? So how do people find out? How do you get your products in? You may make cold calling. You may get referrals from your current customers. You may network through social media or core marketing with some affiliates, and also do some advertising, whether in newspapers or in websites. And you have to advertise to the people that you're offering this product. Setting your price. We offer a whole course on setting your price. Typically, we don't suggest that you set your prices lower than competition. We want you to be at market, because if you're trying to buy your way in by lowering prices, that can be easily matched by your competition. So you need to differentiate by some special thing like that you can offer and your competition cannot, okay? So take a course on pricing, okay? All right, management. A very important part of management is that you'll have enough to do. So always work on the most important things in your business. And if you're spending your time on small things that are not generating revenue, stop doing that. And if you have employees, make sure you pass your passion on to them, make sure they feel part of the business, and also give them responsibility and authority, and also competitive compensation. You pay them too low, they will leave as soon as they find another job, pay a little bit more, okay? So think about that. And also to your employees, always make sure they understand what their job is, give them initial training, then a follow-up training, and also provide them some training and direction on how to handle customers and how to handle pricing questions. Like, more than likely they will get a question like, that price is too high and stuff like that. and they should know how to anticipate that question and how to answer that. Have some regular job performance so they know where they stand with you. If they're not cutting it, either train them or have a conversation about they should go do someplace else, okay? So what to do next? Again, we are going to give you a bunch of handouts, and we want you to go step by step here and try to learn about what business you want to get into, and also sign up for some SCORES workshops and get a SCORE counselor. So that's a to-do list if you're serious about starting a business. One other thing that I have, which may help some of you, is that this presentation these links are live, okay? So if you click on them, you'll go to the SCORE website. So instead of going to the library, you can start doing this from the slide. So I'll just link on one of them to see how that works. And are you ready to start a business? You click on that, it goes to the SCORE website and asks you to do certain things, document the things, can work on your own pace. So you can at least get a good start by some of these items that we are talking about. Okay, so take these 12 steps, and again, some of them may not apply to you, but at least that is a good way to start thinking about your business. We call this the roadmap. The SCORE is the roadmap, and like I said, these are all either you can go to this website and get this package, or you can click on these links if they work for you when we give you the presentation. Okay. All right. So the reason SCORE can do all this is because we have a lot of community foundations who believe in our mission, and we want to thank them for their support. And really, all our volunteers, like myself, we're volunteers. We don't get paid. So with that, I think I've been talking for over an hour now, and I will try to answer any of the questions that have come up since I answered. So Laura, could you tell me some other questions that came up?
Sure. First one is, can a mentor help with looking over existing business plans and giving advice or edits?
Yeah. So that is a typical thing. Now, different mentors do things to a different level, but if you have done the work and you want somebody to take another pair of look at eyes and look at the structure, see if it's communicating what you want to communicate, a SCORE mentor is a good first test to see if that is meeting. Okay, now some mentors, if there's something you're struggling, they can either talk you through it, or they can even make some suggestions on writing that can help you. They can definitely help you with your business plan. I do that all the time.
All right. And then speaking of marketing, what is ROI?
ROI. ROI stands for return on investment. So in the context of marketing, if you're spending money, let's say on newspapers and Google ads and radio and radio ads, so in each of those places you are spending money. But if you're not getting any money, say from your radio ads, then your return on investment is low, and you should quit doing that. Okay. If you're getting customers through your social media ads or Google ads, and in many cases that's true these days. In that case, if you spend more money on that is return on investment and money you're spending in different channels of marketing to advertise your product.
What are your thoughts on social media advertising?
First of all, you should, if you have not already, you should take some social media courses that SCORE offers, and they're offered by a person who's expert in that. So my thoughts on social media is that you cannot do without it. But especially if, there are things like your products are targeting towards a generation that's on the younger side, then social media is quite effective. In fact, I notice these days, even the restaurants and bars that I go to, once they get my um, email or something, they are posting things about their special drink that day or special meal that day. So, so some of it is, but again, you can also advertise on Facebook or advertise on Instagram. Um, I would invest some money. I would see if they are being effective. And I think you can do it pretty reasonable, at reasonable cost. Okay. But to be effective, social media should be very consistent. So you're getting the message out. Okay. Uh, so I guess in a way, it's a new way of getting your business known. I would definitely consider it, but I would let you take one of the seminars on social media and see what's Heather's last name?
Taylor, Glitter
Taylor.
Girl Media.
Yeah, she's a Glitter Girl Media. I would let you see Heather Taylor uh, guide a little bit more. One thing about social media is, and Heather points it out, is social media is not free. If you're not paying somebody, you're probably investing your time. So I would definitely consider it, and if it's effective, um, then I would use it. Okay. I had one client who was in the what's the business? He was a like gas furnace inspecting business. He spent a lot of money on Google Ads, and he impressed me by his name would come up on the first page when you Googled for a gas fireplace inspector. So again, he spent quite a bit of money to get his name up there to get on the first page. Okay, so so Google Ads are effective, but try them. But you have to be consistent to get up there. Okay, and I would not only use Google Ads, I would use something else also. So, another thing I was gonna say that I compared Google Ads um, on social media to, like, in the past we used to have billboards, or still have billboards, but somehow you need to get social media ads to get attention, have them go to your website or go to your page on social media, and that's what the purpose should be. So that then you got them on your social media page, and then they might buy something. What other question you got?
That is about it. There's a question. So how do you reach Heather Taylor? So Heather Taylor has a website, but she does our presentations once a month. She does a workshop for us. The next one, I believe, is on using Facebook, and that is in May. June is Instagram. Um, but she does one every single month. But she does have a website if you just search Glitter Girl Media.
Yeah, Glitter Media. Yeah, I would suggest you take a workshop. I think it's free, and I think you learn some good tips, and you also get to see her capabilities. Okay, if you decide to use her, so I think that's a good way to do that.
All right, I think we're all caught up.
Okay, so no more questions.
There are no more questions.
Okay, so I want to thank all of you. I think we had very good attendance today. Hopefully, I gave you some tips to get started. But again, I'll repeat that this is a very high level course to kind of just explore, to make you aware of things. Okay. But then again, you should look at, based on your interest, like we talked about social media, sign up for some other workshops. And definitely when you're ready, um, talk one-on-one about your business with a SCORE mentor. That's what we do. Okay. So I see no reason for you not to get a SCORE mentor, at least talk the specifics of your business instead of talking in generalities. So thank you again, and we will be sending you the presentation and those attachments. Thank you.
All right, everybody, thank you for joining us. And again, you'll get that email later today by tomorrow morning at the latest. So everybody enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Okay, and give me a call, okay?
Okay.